When I was taking a train in France, they do a little jingle just before they make the announcement to grab your attention and say, here is an announcement. They go, da, 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 da. And every time I heard it, I'd start singing and jigging to it. So when I was on the station in Aix-en-Provence, waiting for the TGV to go back to Paris, I just held up my iPhone and waited for 5 minutes till an announcement came and picked that sound up. And I just sort of made up a little tune, and I had a couple of guys here, drummer Stevie, who was on my last tour, and bass player Yaron Starby. We just knocked up that track in a very short amount of time.
Whatever it takes to break, gotta do it. From the burning lake.
I have difficulties with words. I mean, the lyrics that I have done over the years, most of them I'm pretty proud of. They don't tend to come around through hard work. I'm told by Polly amongst other people that you just got to sit down and keep at it until it comes. But most of the ones that I have written have been an idea that's just popped, which is the way the music always happens. And you know, it's a bit like that old cliche of being a conduit, where something is being channeled through you from some higher place. That's how it feels to me.
So long sin, au revoir chaos. If there's a heaven, it can wait. So long sin, au revoir chaos. If there's a heaven.
I'm playing my pieces of music all the time, and I don't really want to impose on Polly. I don't want to ask her to do stuff. So it's usually more a matter of her listening to the things that I'm playing and her getting a little vibe and saying, can I, have a little look at that one?
David puts it on my iPod, and I walk for miles and miles and miles with it. And actually, one track at a time. I get very overwhelmed if I listen to too many, because it's too many ideas that start jangling and getting confused. So it has to be just one track which I have on repeat.
I sort of say syllables, I put consonants and vowel sounds, pff, and she often tries to follow those.
Sometimes the scat is so suggestive of a line, so it might give me one line, and then I start to think, well, what does that mean, and what does this music evoke? And I start off by maybe trying to just write words, any words, often quite meaningless words, in order to get the rhythms and to find the beats. The inspiration for Rattle That Lock is John Milton's Paradise Lost. I kept thinking about a particular part of that book, which is when Satan and the devils are in pandemonium. They've been expelled from heaven for questioning God's will. And they're actually rather heroic, and they talk about the reasons that they might go and challenge God. And so while I was reading it, I just started thinking, well, this is an amazing journey, and it's got a sort of incredible sort of message in it, which is about going to challenge basically anyone who tries to impose their will on you.
In her new book as well, The Kindness, that has some echoes of Milton's Paradise Lost. So it's definitely something that's right up there in her mind these days. Darkness in lyrics and sorrow, if you like, and all those subjects which seem to be powerful subjects when you write about them in poetry or in song, often work very well with an uplifting piece of music to sort of counterpoint them. Then at the end you come away with a sense of satisfaction that it's not all gloom and doom.
The illustrations for the animated film of Rattle That Lock are very much inspired by the original Gustave Doré etchings, first published in 1671. And I mean, it's been illustrated many, many times since. I mean, William Blake quite famously did a series of illustrations, but I think there's a sort of darkness in the original Doré etchings that could be wonderful when brought to life with animation.
We were both familiar with Gustave Doré illustrations, but I'd never looked at them in depth to that level, and they're just absolutely amazing. You know, they really are so cinematic. Holly Sampson's lyrics gave us a glimpse of Milton's poem and it influenced our script. It's a visual interpretation of a complex piece of literature. We had to come up with a narrative to cover the 4 minutes that made sense, that linked into that style. First of all, having the script. So we had the action on paper in line with the lyrics, but really you can't get a sense from that of how that feels. So then you do an animatic, which is a moving storyboard, essentially.
That's a very important process in animation. That's more or less where you do your editing. You can't afford to waste any animation time, so you have to be 90% certain that what you are going to get someone to laboriously animate is actually going to make the edit. In our film we have 3 main characters. We have the falling angel and the cormorant and the serpent, and it's important for a number of reasons to have one animator who will specialise in each of those characters. The animators are your lead actors in essence.
We get an animator who's the most suited to each character. So in the case of the fallen angel, we've got Guy who's fantastic at sense of human anatomy, things like knowledge of the scapula, even though it's got wings attached to it, it's sort of that sense of how that travels through space, and the tension and things with weight. It's invaluable to have somebody who knows their onions.
My name is Carlos de Faria, and I'm working on this project, basically looking after the falling angel. And the process of the animation is trying to understand the story, trying to see what they want to say, and add personality to the character. And then once I have an idea of how the character is going to move, if I found that I'm struggling with the anatomy, then yeah, I will look at myself in the mirror. I will sort of like act out whatever the action is to see how, you know, the body move, you know, the muscles, the bones.
The shot where we see the hand of death beckoning to Satan, it's important to look at books like this. Everyone thinks they know what a hand looks like and how it's made up, but when you're trying to animate it believably, sometimes it's good to look at reference, where you can just look at your own finger.
Oh yeah, and the little gap above his eye. This is the cormorant in a nest of bones. We really got quite attached to him quite early on. He's wonderfully sinister, an amazing contrast to the falling angel. He's almost exposed as pure evil. We start off with a silhouette of a cormorant. Then we add a bit of definition to just pick out the wings, just so you get a sense of what angle it's from and some sense of its physicality. And then the last stage would be for some white to get added on the top to just pick out the direction that the light might be coming on. So if he's going above some lava, for example, it would be picked out here.
My name is Hannah and I'm the cleanup artist. My job consists of taking the animation that the animators have done, and I clean the line if needed, and I add the colors, I add the shadows, I add the little details. You see the reflections of the fire on the snake.
This was the initial sketch that we did for the serpent. I think Alisdair tried something out with the reflection of the forming earth is in the snake's eye, which is one of my favourite bits.
So let's get to it. It's calling like a flame.
It's been a long haul, but the end result will have been well worth it.
This is a work in progress. It's a very exciting experience, and I can't wait to see the conclusion of the film.